Las Vegas could be the first to crash. Hey, everybody, you're watching Bull Boom Bear Bust. My name is JJ. We're going to talk about one of the cities that's actually dropping right now. So, prices are coming down in Las Vegas. Tourism is down. We're going to hear from a few people, including an Uber driver and a server, a bartender, I believe, from the city of Las Vegas. We're going to show you the numbers on the rents and tell you what's happening. And later on in the video, we're going to see how that's going to affect the entire nation. Is Las Vegas the canary in the coal mine for the rest of the nation? Yes, I think so. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start right here.
$10 bottles of water, $50 parking fees, $25 to valet. Corporations are killing the golden goose that is Vegas. I do Uber, and all I hear from my passengers all the time is how they used to come here all the time because it was a great place to come. You got to do things, you got to eat well, you got to gamble. And now they're thinking this might be their last time to Vegas because they can't afford it anymore.
Totally true. Vegas used to be a discount place to do a lot of fun stuff. It used to be great. I remember going to buffets in Vegas and different diners thinking, wow, look at all this food I get for this price. And it used to be like that because hotels and casinos, they wanted to give you something to bring you to the city, something that was a good deal, in this case, food, so you would gamble. But now it seems like everything is expensive. You're probably going to lose money gambling, but now you're also spending a lot on everything else. Let's go ahead and take a listen here.
We have become so expensive, and I'm telling you all now, save your ducats. If you're coming to Vegas, save your ducats, because little things like if you accidentally move something in the in-room refrigerator, you will be charged for it automatically. So if you go and you buy a sandwich and then you go to put it in the fridge and you have to move something out of the way, you're getting charged $15 or whatever the price was of that. So a water now is like $10 minimum on the strip. There's no reason for that. And yeah, you can go to Walgreens, you can go to CVS, but why? Why are they gouging you? Eventually, no one's going to want to come here. The poor valet drivers, the valet workers, they used to make tips. They used to make good money. Now the hotels are charging like a minimum of $15 to have your car valeted. Well, what do you do when you pay $15 to have your car valeted? What don't you do? You don't tip.
You don't tip. Hotels are not only hurting the customers, they're hurting their own employees, because when people have to pay this parking fee, just like you said, they're not going to tip. They're not going to leave a tip, or they're going to leave a much lower tip than they would have normally. But here's the thing, Las Vegas, the city is dependent on tourism, and many people that pay rent and own homes in Las Vegas, they depend on their tourism, like all the valet drivers, the people working at the different places, the restaurants. So when traffic drops, when less people are going to Las Vegas, that hurts the people of Las Vegas. It hurts the city that so many people are dependent on tourism, and people are getting behind on their rents more. And you're going to be surprised at what's happening with rents in Las Vegas, where you may not be surprised after you heard him talk and the topic today. But let's finish up with what he has to say. We're going to get into the rents and later in the video how this is a canary in the coal mine for the rest of the country. Continue.
Why would you tip when you just spent $15 to have the guy drive your car and go park it? It doesn't make sense. Whereas before, the valet drivers used to get $20 in a tip for each car. That's a career. You can build a family with that. It goes back to the whole destroying of the middle class. Now, you can't do that. You have to work two jobs. You have to work double shifts. You have to work split shift, whatever. It's ridiculous. The corporations are killing Vegas. They don't do any comps anymore. So let's say you get bad service, you would go to the front desk, you'd be like, yo, I'm not happy with this. And you would get a comp. They'd hand you like something. Go have a steak. Here's this ticket to a show. We're so sorry. Now it's like, oh, well, what? They took out all of the coffee machines in the rooms. So you used to be able to make yourself a...
Can't make your own coffee now. They took out the coffee machines. I went to a hotel not even a year ago. It wasn't in Vegas. They still had a coffee machine.
Cup of coffee and start your day. Now, every hotel has a Starbucks that charges $1 to $2 more for everything than they do anywhere else. And you have to go there and stand in a long line. The penny pinching, the cost cutting, the nickel and diming, the gouging is killing Vegas. And F1 is coming. It's only going to get worse.
Price gouging, greedflation. Back to the coffee thing. Starbucks is expensive, just any Starbucks for coffee. But I heard the ones in hotels and especially Vegas, they're even more expensive than your typical Starbucks from what I hear.
By the time that F1 comes here, a bottle of water costs $40. You know, who knows? Breakfast here is $100. For eggs, Vegas, get it together. Otherwise, you're going to kill what makes this whole desert survive. That, you know, price you out of existence. But folks, come to Vegas, just save your ducats and get off the strip.
I like what he said. He said, price yourself out of existence. Wow. Is Las Vegas doing that? Well, tourism is down. By the way, if you wanted to look him up, Derek L. Washington, maybe check him out and see what he says. Uber driver in Vegas. So he's got his finger on the pulse, obviously. People in that city a lot of them are under a lot of pressure financially because starting in 2020 especially, prices really shot up in Vegas. A lot of people from California and more expensive coastal cities went to Vegas and, of course, other places too, like Texas, Florida. What used to be lower priced states saw a huge influx of people over the past 5 or so years. And now those states are just like California was just 5, 6, 7 years ago. They're terribly expensive. And now cities like Vegas, declining tourism, lower incomes. What does that lead to? Well, that leads to more people not being able to pay their high rents. Look what's happening with rents. Well, it recently came out that Las Vegas is the second largest city, or the second city to see the largest price declines, or the second largest price declines behind Texas. That was Austin, Texas was the biggest decline in rents year over year. Las Vegas, though, down quite a bit. Las Vegas is now down 4% year over year, while Austin, Texas is down 5.7%. Again, two cities that saw tremendous growth and influx of population since 2020. Now, the biggest price declines, the top 1 and 2 cities for price declines year over year. The median rent is now $1,478, according to Redfin. Rates also dropped 1.4% from May to June. So just in 1 month this year, May to June. So the declines are actually accelerating. So in a few more months, if we look at the year over year number, is it going to be 7%, 8%, 10%? We're going to see what happens to Las Vegas. And again, could be a canary in the coal mine. And the reason we're seeing these things show up in cities like Vegas, cities like Austin, because they saw the biggest run-ups, the biggest influx of population like we talked about, and therefore the biggest price increases. But what's going to happen with the rest of the country? Well, we can see what is happening with tourism, causing people to no longer get as big tips as they used to get, the valet drivers, the servers, all the people that work in the tourism industry are getting less money, getting paid less. Probably they're going to be getting their hours cut too if the tourism keeps dropping. And it is greedflation, and they're pricing themselves out of the tourism market, it looks like. As the gentleman said earlier, pricing themselves out of existence. Could that be what's going to be happening, folks? But other cities are going to start seeing the similar things happening. The same thing, of course, Vegas is first, because when people cut back on spending, they usually cut back on luxury items or tourism items, things like vacations, entertainment. They pull back on spending on those things first, right? The non-essentials, they'll cut first, and then it starts going into essentials. People stop paying their monthly light bills, their car notes, their mortgages, and their rents, and some of that's happening now. But my point is, it looks like it's going to be accelerating when you look at the recent numbers. And take a look at this. Even Traveling and World Tour is reporting the following. Las Vegas hotels shattered by devastating drops in occupancy and revenue as economic collapse, vanishing international visitors inflict havoc. So there's a bunch of other reasons why internationally less people are coming to the U.S. and especially Vegas. But the bottom line is this is starting to look like a pretty big collapse. They're even using the word economic collapse in this article here. And take a listen to this.
The numbers are in and they absolutely suck. Tourism is down 6.5% year over year. Do you remember what happened in 2008? All it took was 15% to have this house of cards completely crumble. So we're at 6.5 now. And I've got a few reasons on why that could be. People are tired of getting ripped off. Let's talk about it. $17 cocktails. That's actually the cheap cocktail. By the pool, you're going to pay $30. And in a nice place, you're going to pay $24, $25, and that's not before you add the ice cube and you smoke it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's awesome, but it's a little bit expensive, don't you think? $55.
If people had some restraint on their spending, these places, they wouldn't be able to charge that much. If people said no to paying these prices a long time ago, even a couple years ago, then they wouldn't have been able to raise their prices. They would have priced themselves out of business already. But when people are okay and comfortable with spending more and more and more, then of course they're just going to raise their prices, folks. It's supply and demand. If you say no, if you stop buying, if you stop going to places like Vegas and stop spending money there, prices will come down. So first we're going to see the collapse in jobs and the collapse in the city, in the industry, in the tourism industry, and then you'll see prices come down, folks. It has to happen. Supply and demand. All right, let's continue.
Resort fees, $80 breakfast, $26 water bottles at the Aria. Now, I understand you're going to Las Vegas to have the luxury experience, but you used to receive that without the high price. You used to be treated like a king for kind of bottom dollar. And if you wanted a little bit more opulence, then you got it. But opulence was a $17 cocktail. Now it's the lowest price you're ever going to absolutely find. So what are people looking for now? They're looking for value, and they're not finding it in Las Vegas. The only thing cheap about Las Vegas is flying there. But as soon as you land, you'll notice your Uber ride is more expensive. You'll notice limos are crazy expensive. Don't talk about...
Yeah, and the flights are going up too, right? No more free checked baggage at Southwest. Is that the recent one?
Luxury. Luxury is insane. You're going to pay $5,000 for a hamburger. But this is what's happening. And the Strip is not listening, but Fremont Street is absolutely listening. The Plaza right now has an all-inclusive deal because they want to bring the value-driven customer back. And that's what they want to do. You don't want to lose all those players because if you do, that house of cards is going to crumble.
The house of cards is going to crumble. And the gentleman before him said that as well. Get off of the Strip. Deals can be had more often now off of the Strip. And it looks like Fremont Street and some other areas off of the Strip are starting to listen and starting to come down on their prices. So if you love Vegas, if that's your getaway and what you have to do to keep yourself sane so you don't feel like you're just working your whole life, I get it. I've been to Vegas. I got married in Vegas. Had a lot of fun in Vegas. All right. I get it. I mean, you got to do fun things every once in a while, you know. Hopefully, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not spending a bunch of money on things like Vegas. But, you know, to each his own. I'm not here to I'm not here to tell people how to spend their money. People are going to have fun. They're going to do things. I've certainly spent a lot of money on things that I didn't have to spend it on. Concerts, road trips. Now that I'm married, I can't really do that much. Married with a family. But, folks, you get it, folks. It's things are going to be changing. Let me know down below in this video and comments, is Vegas the canary in the coal mine for the rest of the nation? Cities like Austin, let me know what you think about that. But also something to think about as well. The U.S. consumer, broadly speaking, is going to be seeing a lot tougher times ahead. Buy now, pay later programs are now going to be able to tank your credit score. We've been talking about this for a few months. And what's going to happen when people's credit scores tank? It's going to be less vehicles sold, less people qualifying for car loans, less people qualifying to rent or lease an apartment, much less people qualifying for mortgages, right? So they're really going to have to loosen up the guidelines for lending, and landlords are going to have to be more lenient on the type of people they're going to rent out to when these credit scores continue tanking. All the student loans that are now being forced to being repaid. A lot of the students aren't. Most students aren't repaying on time, and that's going to tank their credit scores as well. And so many people, it's going to affect the economy in a broader sense, folks. So let me know what you think about this. You love Vegas. You can live without it. Either way, what do you think? The $10 bottles of water that they set in the room, they'll set them in the room, and they'll have like a price tag on them. And like you said, if you use it or if your kid opens it up by mistake, not knowing that it's some optional item, they think you bought the water from the local store. They open it up, you're paying for it, folks. I even got accused of losing towels one time. Losing towels. And what we did was we rented 2 different rooms and we opened the door between the rooms. So some friends and I were actually going between the different rooms, kind of as one room. But we moved one towel from one room to another. It got left there or something like that. And they charged our room thinking we stole the towel. And we're like, no, just look in the other room. The towel's over there, right? So crazy stuff like that. They're really cracking down. Greedflation. Are they pricing themselves out of existence? Please let me know down in the comments. Big love. Keep stacking, everybody. Bye for now. Peace.